All right, welcome. Ever stop to think about the master plan behind every single thing you learn in school? Well, today we're diving deep into that very blueprint, curriculum development. This is basically your complete revision guide to totally ace that exam. I mean, it's a great question, isn't it? Who are the architects of your education? It feels like this invisible thing that just happens. But there's a really systematic process that shapes every single lesson, and we're about to pull back the curtain on how it all works.
Okay, so here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with the absolute basics, then walk through how a curriculum gets built, meet the key thinkers, compare their big ideas, and then wrap it all up with a quick sheet designed to lock in everything you need.
First things first, let's lay down a solid foundation. So what exactly are we talking about when we say curriculum? Let's nail down a clear, exam-ready definition. So essentially, it's the master plan. It's the organized, systematic preparation of everything that's going to be taught. You can think of it as the official script that teachers get, the thing that turns these big, abstract educational goals into a concrete plan of action for the classroom. And here's the crucial point. This is not just some list of books or subjects. No way. It's the very bedrock of the entire educational experience. Just like the experts Ornstein and Hunkins said, it's the foundation. Everything else is literally built right on top of it. Okay, so if it's a foundation, how do you actually build it? It doesn't just appear out of thin air, right? So let's get into the blueprint and see how this thing gets built through 4 really distinct logical phases. And here they are: planning, design, implementation, and evaluation. This is the core cycle. It's a journey that takes an idea from just a simple need all the way to a fully functioning program inside a classroom. Let's break down each one. Everything kicks off with planning. This is the why phase. Before you can build anything, you gotta survey the land. You have to identify the problems or the needs of the students in the community, and you put together a team to figure out what actually needs to be taught. Next up, we've got design. So if planning was the why, design is the what and how. This is where the team actually draws up the blueprint. They're asking what specific things should students be able to do? What content will get them there? And, super important, how are we going to know if they've actually learned it? Then we get to phase 3, implementation. This is where the rubber meets the road. The blueprint gets handed over to the construction crew. And that's the teachers. It's all about putting that plan into practice in real classrooms. This usually involves some pilot testing and making sure teachers have all the training and resources they need to succeed. And finally, we have evaluation. Think of it as the final inspection. Did the plan work? Was it a success? This phase is all about measuring how effective the curriculum was. And the best part, the results are then used to revise and improve the blueprint for the next go-around. It's this continuous loop of improvement.
Before we start jumping into the specific models, we really need a blueprint. Just think of curriculum development as the ultimate master plan for a school. It's essentially the systematic planning of teaching and learning. Basically, it's the whole process of preparing and improving educational programs. We have to figure out what students should actually learn, how they're going to learn it, when they should learn it, and then how we evaluate all that learning. And hey, quick tip, whenever you see the phrase systematic planning on a test, boom, immediately think of curriculum development.
Now, this whole development process universally follows 4 major phases. First up is curriculum planning, where we figure out what the learners actually need. Like, say students are really struggling with communication. Well, we plan to fix that. Second is curriculum design. This is where we pick the actual content, maybe choosing group discussions or speeches. Third is implementation, which is just putting that plan into action right in the classroom. And finally, number 4, evaluation. We have to check if our plan actually worked. Did those speeches actually improve their confidence? These 4 steps are pretty much the heartbeat of every single model we're about to cover.
Okay, moving on to Section 2, the Tyler model, known as the top-down deductive approach.
So this one was developed by Ralph Tyler way back in 1949, and let me tell you, this is a massively tested exam topic. Tyler basically built his entire blueprint on 4 fundamental sequential questions. Number 1, what educational purposes should the school attain? Basically, what are the objectives? Number 2, what educational experiences can help achieve those objectives? Number 3, how can these learning experiences be organized effectively? And number 4, how do we evaluate whether those objectives were actually achieved? It's a very, very systematic, objective-oriented approach. You set the goal right at the start, and everything else just logically flows from there. So the really crucial point here is how Tyler actually comes up with those initial objectives. This is pure exam gold, folks. Think of it like a giant funnel. Tyler argues that objectives have to come from three sources: the subject matter, the learner's needs, and society's needs. But he doesn't just stop there. Those raw objectives then have to pass through two screens. First, the philosophy screen, which asks, hey, does this match the school's values? And second, the psychology screen, asking, does this actually suit the child's learning level? Only after all that do you get your final goal: precise, measurable, instructional objectives.
Let's try to anchor this abstract theory to the real world. Imagine a school decides it wants to teach environmental awareness. Using Tyler's model, the objective is clearly defined from the top down. Students are going to learn to reduce pollution. Then, the experiences are selected, maybe a big recycling project. They organize it, and finally, they evaluate to see if students actually stopped using single-use plastic. Now, if you're taking notes, definitely jot down these pros and cons. Tyler's model is simple, it's systematic, and it has super strong evaluation. But the major downside? It is heavily top-down. That means administrators dictate the goals, and there is very little participation from the actual teachers on the ground. All right, Section 3, the Taba model, also known as the Grassroots inductive approach.
So, Hilda Taba looked at Tyler's top-down approach and basically just flipped the logic completely upside down. She started right in the classroom. If you only remember one single thing about Hilda Taba for your exams, remember the Grassroots approach. A super easy memory trick: T is for Taba and T is for teachers. Taba passionately believed that teachers, not administrators sitting in some distant office, know the students best. Because of that, she said curriculum development should be an inductive, bottom-up process that starts with the real, everyday realities of the classroom.
Let's see how this builds into her famous 7-step process. Notice what step 1 is: diagnosis of needs. Unlike Tyler, who starts with these big, broad societal goals, Taba starts by having the teacher look at their specific students to diagnose what they need right in that moment. From there, the teacher formulates objectives, selects the content, organizes that content from simple to difficult, selects the learning experiences, organizes those activities, and then finally evaluates. It's like a highly practical, step-by-step ladder, and it's built entirely by the teacher.
For example, let's say a teacher notices her specific students are really shy and afraid to speak up. She diagnoses this need, creates an objective to build their confidence, and then plans small group role plays before doing any big stage speeches. This makes the Taba model incredibly teacher-centered, student-focused, and really flexible. However, and definitely be ready to write this down, for a short answer question, the big disadvantages are that it's super time-consuming, it requires highly skilled teachers, and it's incredibly difficult to standardize if you're working across a massive school district.
This brilliantly illustrates the exact contrast you need to know for your exams. Think of this as your midterm review. We've got Tyler representing a top-down, deductive framework that's driven by administrators and starts with broad general objectives. And then we've got Taba representing a bottom-up, inductive framework that's driven by teachers and starts with specific classroom needs. Seriously, if you get a question asking you to compare deductive versus inductive curriculum models, this is your exact answer key right here. Moving on to Section 4, the Saylor and Alexander model, planning for learning opportunities. So Galen Saylor and William Alexander created a really comprehensive approach that views curriculum as this broad plan for providing learning opportunities. Just like the others, this model has 4 steps: goals and domains, curriculum designing, implementation, and evaluation. But the thing that makes this model unique is just how deeply it considers external variables. It looks at educational research, community expectations, and importantly, the job market, shaping the whole curriculum into one massive holistic plan. The absolute hallmark of the Saylor and Alexander model is found right in step 1. They categorized educational goals into 4 specific domains. Domain 1 is personal development, like building confidence and discipline. Domain 2 is human relations, so learning teamwork and social skills. Domain 3 is continued learning skills, which is teaching students how to research and learn independently. And Domain 4 is specialization, which means developing deep expertise in specific subjects. Listen, if an exam question even mentions the word domains, it is 100% talking about Saylor and Alexander. Imagine applying this to prepare students for the modern world. A school might look at the current job market and decide to add coding classes to hit that specialization domain, while also adding group projects to cover the human relations domain. It's an incredibly comprehensive model that focuses on the total, holistic development of the student. But as you can probably guess, the main disadvantage here is its sheer complexity. It is a massive, massive undertaking, making it really difficult for any school to implement fully and perfectly.
And finally, Section 5, the ultimate model comparison. This is your exam cheat sheet.
Okay, we are going to tie everything together right now. What's really cool about this summary is that it essentially holds the direct answers to at least a dozen different multiple-choice questions you might face. Literally take a mental screenshot of this. If we look at the approach, Tyler is top-down, Taba is bottom-up, and Saylor and Alexander are comprehensive. Look at the type. Tyler is deductive, going from broad down to specific. Taba is inductive, going from specific classroom needs up to a broad curriculum. And Saylor and Alexander give us a highly systematic, domain-based structure. Truly, understanding these distinct differences is the absolute key to mastering curriculum development.
So I want to leave you with a little provocative thought to test your own understanding. If you were walking into your own classroom tomorrow and were told to design a brand new curriculum from scratch, which model would you lean towards? Would you prefer the organized, top-down structure of Tyler? Maybe the teacher-empowered, grassroots, inductive approach of Taba? Or maybe the broad, domain-based, comprehensive vision of Saylor and Alexander? Think about it. Visualize the models we just went through, and I guarantee you'll be fully ready to tackle your exams. Keep studying hard, and I'll see you in the next explainer.